You're not lonely. You're finally alone enough to hear yourself think. The people leaving your life right now may not be punishment. They may be revealing who you've been depending on to avoid yourself. Here's the snapback. Everyone says loneliness means something's wrong with you. Wrong teacher. Solitude isn't punishment. It's the exact condition awakening requires. Crowded minds never wake up. Today, you'll discover 10 hidden lessons that only solitude can teach. But most people never truly understand number 9. That's the one that changes how you see everyone who left. In this video, you'll discover why solitude creates power, how your attention is secretly shaping your destiny, and the hidden enemy most people never meet. Stay till the end. There's a powerful bonus lesson on what to actually do with this solitude. Number 1, the borrowed life. Have you ever wondered why you feel tired even when you are doing everything society says you should do? The answer may be uncomfortable. You do not constantly seek people because you love connection. You seek them because you fear meeting your own mind. Therefore, your attention becomes scattered, your choices become borrowed, and your life slowly follows directions that were never written by your own heart. But what if the exhaustion you carry is not from working too hard? What if it comes from carrying desires that never belong to you? A wise teaching says, a borrowed path always feels heavier than your own. Many people spend years chasing approval, status, relationships, or achievements, believing they will finally feel complete. But beneath the surface, there is a quiet suffering. The goal may look beautiful, therefore everyone applauds the journey. But deep inside, something feels strangely empty. Why? Because the soul recognizes when it is walking towards someone else's destination. Imagine a young tree growing beneath the shadow of another. It survives. It remains standing. It even appears healthy. But it never discovers its true height because another presence blocks its light. Many lives unfold this way. People inherit expectations from parents, friends, culture, or fear. Therefore, they become successful in ways that do not bring peace. The tragedy is not failure. The tragedy is succeeding at a life that was never truly yours. Sit quietly for a moment. Close your eyes. Imagine every expectation others placed upon you resting inside a basket. The need to impress, the pressure to fit in, the dream that was handed to you. Place each one gently inside. Now imagine setting that basket down. Notice the space that begins, not in the crowd, not in constant noise, but in solitude. The Buddha often taught that wisdom emerges when the mind becomes still enough to see clearly. Therefore, staying alone is not isolation. It is an invitation to meet yourself honestly. Ask yourself, which dream genuinely belongs to me? What goal am I pursuing only to be accepted? If nobody could judge me, what would I stop chasing today? The answer may change everything. Because the moment you stop living a borrowed life, you finally begin living your own. 2. The fear behind company. Why does silence feel peaceful to some people but unbearable to others? Most people believe they fear loneliness, but if you observe carefully, a deeper truth begins to emerge. They do not fear being alone. They fear what appears when nobody is there to distract them. Therefore, they fill every empty moment with conversation, entertainment, notifications, or noise. But the mind cannot heal while constantly escaping itself. A wise saying reminds us, the mind fears the room where truth is waiting. Think about the moments when you are finally alone. No messages, no responsibilities, no voices demanding your attention. At first, there is silence. But soon, something else arrives. A regret you never processed. A fear you buried beneath busyness. A sadness you promised to face later. Therefore, What looked like loneliness was often an encounter with unfinished emotions. Imagine an abandoned temple hidden deep within a forest. Travelers avoid it because stories say it is haunted. But the temple is not haunted. It simply feels unfamiliar because nobody has entered it for years. The human mind is much the same. Many people avoid their inner world for so long that when they finally enter it, everything feels frightening. But what if the fear is not danger? What if it is merely neglected truth asking to be seen? The Buddha taught that suffering grows stronger when it is resisted. Therefore, running from discomfort often feeds the very thing we wish to escape. Every distraction offers temporary relief. But relief is not freedom. Freedom begins when you stop running. Tonight, imagine yourself sitting alone beside a candle at dusk. The room is quiet. A feeling begins to rise within you. Perhaps anxiety, perhaps grief, perhaps uncertainty. Instead of reaching for a distraction, remain seated. Watch carefully. Listen without judgment. Allow the feeling to speak. You may discover that beneath the discomfort is a lesson that has been waiting for years. Ask yourself honestly, what emotion do I avoid most when I am alone? What distraction do I immediately reach for when silence appears? And what might happen if I stopped running from that feeling? The answer is powerful, because the moment you stop escaping yourself, solitude transforms from a prison into a path toward wisdom. 3. Sacred discomfort. Many people begin the journey inward, believing they will immediately find peace. They imagine solitude as a quiet refuge where every burden disappears, but a dangerous truth waits at the doorway. The first reward of solitude is rarely peace. It is confrontation. Therefore, many people turn back just when the real transformation is about to begin. But why do so many abandon the path before reaching its gift? A wise teaching says, healing often enters wearing the face of discomfort. This is difficult to accept because the mind expects growth to feel pleasant. Yet when you sit alone long enough, hidden truths begin to rise. You notice patterns you have repeated for years. You recognize wounds that still guide your decisions. You see fears disguised as habits. Therefore, the inner world can feel more intense than the outer one. Think of muddy water in a bowl. When left untouched, the dirt settles at the bottom, creating the illusion of clarity. But stir the water, and suddenly everything hidden becomes visible. Many mistake this moment for failure. They believe they are becoming worse. But the truth is the opposite. What was already there is finally being seen. The Buddha often pointed toward awareness, not escape. Therefore, when old emotions surface, the goal is not to fight them. The goal is to witness them. Every uncomfortable truth that carries a lesson. Every painful realization holds the seed of freedom, but only for those willing to remain present. Picture a lake disturbed by strong wind. The surface becomes restless. The water loses its reflection. Most people try to force the lake to become still, but wisdom chooses another path. It waits, it watches, it trusts the nature of water. In time, the wind passes, the lake settles, clarity returns on its own. Your mind works the same way. Therefore, not every storm requires action. Some storms require patience. Some answers arrive only after you stop chasing them. Ask yourself quietly, which uncomfortable truth keeps returning to my life? What lesson have I delayed facing? How much energy do I spend avoiding what already knows my name? The answer may reveal why your suffering continues. Because the moment you stop running from discomfort, discomfort begins transforming into wisdom. 4. The theft of attention. Most people believe their greatest loss is time. They worry about wasted years, missed opportunities, or chances that never returned. But there is a deeper loss that often goes unnoticed. Your greatest loss is awareness, because long before time disappears, your attention has already been taken. Therefore, the quality of your life is quietly shaped by whatever captures your focus each day. Consider this carefully. What if every distraction is deciding your future without your permission? Every moment of scattered attention appears harmless on its own. A few minutes here, a brief escape there. But small moments repeated for years become a destiny. A wise teaching reminds us, where attention goes, destiny follows. The question is not whether your attention is creating a future. The question is which future it is creating. Many people wake up with good intentions. They want peace, they want purpose, they want to grow, but before the day has truly begun, their mind belongs to endless noise. Therefore their energy becomes divided, their goals remain distant, their inner world becomes crowded. The tragedy is not that they lack potential. The tragedy is that their attention is constantly rented out to things that do not deserve it. Imagine a reservoir that once powered an entire village. Its waters are strong, steady, and full of life. But over time, 1,000 tiny leaks appear. None seem dangerous alone. Yet day after day, the reservoir weakens until almost nothing remains. The same thing happens within the human mind. Rarely does one great distraction destroy a life. It is the countless small distractions that quietly drain strength, clarity, and purpose. The Buddha often taught that the disciplined mind becomes a source of freedom. Therefore, learning to protect your attention is not a productivity trick. It is a spiritual practice. Every moment you reclaim your awareness, you reclaim a piece of your life. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine every thought as a bird flying from your hands in different directions. Worries, memories, comparisons, escapes. Now gently call each bird back, one by one, until only one remains. Notice the calm that follows. Ask yourself honestly, who benefits from my distraction? What receives most of my attention each day? Is my attention building my future or feeding my escape? Because what you repeatedly focus on today is quietly becoming the life you will live tomorrow. 5. The invisible script. There is a question few people dare to ask themselves. If everything you call me was taught, shaped, rewarded, or repeated by others, who remains underneath it all? Most identities are not consciously chosen. They are learned so early that they begin to feel real. Therefore, people spend entire lifetimes protecting a version of themselves they never intentionally created. A wise teaching says, the mask becomes dangerous when it forgets it is a mask. As children, we quickly learn which behaviors receive approval and which receive rejection. Some learn to become achievers, some become caretakers, some become strong because vulnerability felt unsafe, others become invisible because attention felt painful. These roles may have once protected you, but protection can quietly become imprisonment when it follows you into every stage of life. Imagine an actor standing on a stage year after year. At first, he knows he is playing a role, but the performance continues for so long that the line between the character and the person begins to disappear. One day, he looks into the mirror and cannot remember his own name. This is how many people live. They become so attached to an identity that they forget the living human being beneath it. The Buddha taught that suffering often grows from attachment. Therefore, attachment to identity can become one of the most invisible forms of suffering. You cling to being successful, you cling to being needed, you cling to being right, but every attachment creates fear, because the moment an identity feels threatened, your peace disappears with it. Sit quietly for a moment. Imagine removing one label at a time: successful, failure, parent, child, leader, achiever. Let each one fall away like a robe placed gently on the ground. Do not rush to replace them. Simply notice what remains. There is a presence beneath every label. Silent, aware, unchanging. Now ask yourself honestly, which identity am I protecting most fiercely? Who taught me to become that person? Without that identity, what am I afraid would happen? The answer may reveal a hidden chain you have carried for years, because true freedom does not begin when you become someone new. It begins when you stop mistaking the mask for the one who wears it. Every time you escape yourself, you lose your power. Every time you face yourself, you awaken. 6. Meeting the inner enemy. Many people spend years searching for the reason their life feels stuck. They blame circumstances. They blame difficult people. They blame bad luck or lost opportunities. But a dangerous truth waits beneath all these explanations. The greatest obstacle in your life may not be outside you. It may be a hidden force within. Therefore, the same struggles keep returning, even when the scenery changes. Have you ever wondered why the same pain appears under different names? A relationship ends, but the same insecurity returns in the next one. A goal is achieved, but the same emptiness remains. A fresh start arrives, but the same fear quietly follows. A wise teaching says, unseen chains remain the strongest. What you cannot see often controls you more than what you can. The Buddha taught that true freedom begins with seeing clearly. But most people focus on changing their circumstances while ignoring the patterns that create them. Therefore, they repaint the surface of their lives without touching the foundation beneath. Imagine a prisoner who spends years decorating his cell. He paints the walls. He rearranges the furniture. He makes the prison look comfortable. But despite every improvement, he remains inside the same cage. This is what happens when you change everything around you, but refuse to examine what lives within you. The prison is no longer visible. Therefore, it becomes even harder to escape. This is where solitude becomes powerful. When you stay alone long enough, the inner enemy begins to reveal itself, not as a monster, but as a recurring thought, a craving, a fear, a belief that quietly directs your choices. Most people immediately fight these thoughts, but wisdom chooses a different path. Sit quietly. Watch a recurring thought arise. Do not chase it. Do not suppress it. Simply observe it. Now ask yourself a deeper question. If I can observe this thought, who is the one observing? In that moment, a door begins to open. You discover that you are not every fear that appears within you. Ask yourself honestly, which craving repeatedly controls my decisions? What fear quietly shapes my future? What pattern refuses to leave my life? Because the battle that changes your life is rarely fought against the world. It is won when you finally see the chains that were hidden inside your own mind. 7. The Great Inner Battle. Many people believe their struggle is with the world. They think peace will finally arrive when circumstances improve, when the right person stays, when success becomes permanent, or when life stops changing. But a deeper truth waits beneath these hopes. The real battle is not between you and the world. It is between attachment and awareness. Therefore, even when life gives you what you wanted, peace often remains out of reach. Have you ever noticed how quickly satisfaction fades? You chase an achievement for years, you finally reach it. Relief arrives for a moment, but soon the mind begins searching again. Another goal, another possession, another source of certainty. A wise teaching reminds us, attachment promises permanence in an impermanent world. The problem is not desire itself. The problem begins when you expect temporary things to provide lasting security. The Buddha observed that much of human suffering comes from trying to freeze what was never meant to stand still. Relationships change, bodies age, seasons pass, emotions rise and fall. Therefore, attachment becomes a silent war against the nature of life itself. Imagine trying to hold a river in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more water escapes between your fingers. Frustration grows, exhaustion follows. But the river was never meant to be possessed. It was meant to be experienced. Many people treat life the same way. They cling to moments, identities, and outcomes. Therefore, they suffer when everything naturally changes. This is why solitude becomes a sacred teacher. When you sit quietly with yourself, you begin to notice what you are desperately trying to hold on to. A relationship, an image of yourself, a future that must unfold in a certain way. Awareness shines light on these attachments. Therefore, choice becomes possible. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your clenched fist slowly opening. Feel the tension leaving your hand. Feel the relief of no longer forcing life to remain exactly as it is. Now ask yourself honestly, what am I desperately trying to hold on to? What would happen if I released it? Is this attachment protecting me or exhausting me? Because freedom begins the moment awareness becomes stronger than attachment. 8. When loneliness becomes freedom. There comes a quiet moment on the path of self-discovery when something unexpected happens. The loneliness that once felt heavy begins to change its shape. It no longer feels like a punishment. It begins to feel like space. But most people never reach this moment because they spend all their energy resisting what is already here. Therefore, they suffer not only from being alone, but from believing they should not be. A profound truth reveals itself in solitude. Loneliness often ends the moment you stop demanding that reality be different. A wise teaching says, freedom begins where resistance ends. This does not mean giving up on life. It means ending the struggle against the present moment. When you stop arguing with what is, a surprising peace begins to emerge. Many people sit alone and immediately label the experience as a problem. They tell themselves they are behind, forgotten, or missing something important. Therefore, the mind turns solitude into evidence of lack. But what if this season of aloneness is not taking something from you? What if it is preparing something within you? Imagine a bird raised its entire life inside a cage. One day, the door opens. The sky stretches endlessly before it. Yet instead of feeling freedom, the bird feels fear. The cage was familiar. The open sky is unknown. Many people experience solitude the same way. Freedom arrives disguised as emptiness. Therefore, they rush back toward noise because silence feels unfamiliar. The Buddha taught that clarity grows in stillness. This is why solitude becomes a sacred practice rather than a condition to escape. When nobody is telling you who to be, you finally have the opportunity to discover who you are. When nothing demands your attention, your own wisdom becomes easier to hear. Close your eyes and imagine yourself standing alone in a vast field at sunrise. There is no crowd, no pressure, no performance. Notice that the emptiness around you is not threatening, it is spacious. It is alive with possibility. Ask yourself gently, what if solitude is preparing me rather than punishing me? What strength is trying to emerge during this season? Have I mistaken freedom for loneliness? Because sometimes the life-changing gift you have been searching for is the very solitude you have been trying to escape. Every time you escape yourself, you lose your power. Every time you face yourself, you awaken. 9. The power nobody sees. One of the greatest misunderstandings in modern life is the belief that growth must be visible to be valuable. Many people lose motivation when nobody notices their effort. They work in silence for a while, but eventually begin questioning whether anything is changing. Therefore, they abandon the process just before its rewards begin to emerge. But why are the most powerful transformations often invisible at first? A timeless truth answers this question. Roots grow in darkness before trees touch the sky. The deepest changes in your life will rarely happen in front of an audience. They happen in quiet mornings when nobody is watching. They happen in the moments you choose discipline over comfort. They happen when you remain committed to your growth despite receiving no applause. The world celebrates visible success. It notices the strong body, the calm mind, the confident presence, or the meaningful achievement. But it rarely sees the lonely evenings, the difficult choices, or the inner battles that created them. Therefore, many people become addicted to recognition while neglecting the invisible work that produces real transformation. Imagine a mountain rising from the earth. For centuries, its foundation is forming beneath the surface. The movement is slow. The progress is hidden. Nobody celebrates it. Nobody even sees it. Yet the mountain continues to rise. One day, people look up and admire its height. They call it extraordinary. But the true miracle happened long before anyone noticed. The Buddha often taught that right effort is valuable even when results have not yet appeared. Therefore, your task is not to seek constant validation. Your task is to continue nurturing what matters. Every quiet act of discipline strengthens your character. Every moment of awareness deepens your wisdom. Every day spent focusing on yourself builds a future that others cannot yet see. Close your eyes and picture a seed resting beneath the soil. It is unseen. It receives no praise. Yet life is already moving within it. Trust that process. Ask yourself honestly, what private discipline am I building? What invisible growth is happening inside me? Do I need recognition to continue? Because the strongest transformations are often happening in the silence, long before the world ever notices their power. 10. The end of chasing. After all the striving, all the searching, all the years spent chasing answers through people, achievements, possessions, and approval, a final truth begins to reveal itself. Peace arrives when the search for peace finally ends. This sounds like a contradiction. Therefore, many people overlook it. They continue running toward a destination that cannot be reached through effort alone. But what if what you seek has been present beneath the noise all along? A quiet teaching whispers. Stillness was never absent, only covered. Most people believe happiness is waiting somewhere in the future. One more success, one more relationship, one more milestone. Therefore, life becomes an endless pursuit. The mind constantly says, not yet, not enough, keep going. But every time one desire is fulfilled, another quickly takes its place. The Buddha pointed toward a different understanding. He taught that suffering often grows from constant craving, not because goals are wrong, but because we expect them to complete us. Therefore, the search itself becomes the source of restlessness. The more desperately we chase peace, the further it seems to move away. Imagine the moon on a cloudy night. The clouds drift across the sky, hiding its light. A person looking up may believe the moon has disappeared, but the moon remains exactly where it has always been. Only the clouds have changed. Your inner stillness is the same. Fear, desire, regret, and endless thinking move across the mind like passing clouds, but beneath them, awareness remains untouched. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine every thought becoming a cloud floating across an endless sky. Do not chase any cloud. Do not resist any cloud. Simply watch. Gradually, you begin to notice something remarkable. The sky was never disturbed. Only the clouds were moving. This is the lesson most people miss. Solitude was never teaching you how to become whole. It was showing you that wholeness was already here. Ask yourself gently, what am I still chasing for happiness? What if nothing is missing right now? Can I recognize the awareness already present? Because the moment you stop searching everywhere else, you finally discover the peace that has been waiting within you all along. Bonus: the freedom beyond success. If you have walked through each lesson carefully, a hidden pattern begins to reveal itself. The solitude you feared was never your enemy. The silence you resisted was never empty. The discomfort you wanted to escape was never punishment. Therefore, the secret that has been waiting since the beginning can finally be understood. Solitude was never about being alone. It was about becoming free. Free from borrowed expectations. Free from endless distractions. Free from identities you were taught to protect. Free from the belief that peace depends on circumstances constantly going your way. Many people spend their entire lives trying to control the world around them. They seek the perfect relationship, the perfect income, the perfect conditions for happiness. But every condition changes. Every achievement fades. Every external source of certainty eventually shifts. Therefore, anyone who builds peace upon these things lives in quiet fear of losing them. This is why the highest success is not gaining more from the world. The highest success is needing less from it. A wise teaching says, nothing can control the one who no longer depends on it. This does not mean withdrawing from life. It means participating fully without becoming imprisoned by outcomes. You can love without clinging. You can work without worshipping success. You can enjoy life without demanding that it remain unchanged. Imagine a ship caught in a violent storm. The anchor does not stop the wind. It does not calm the waves, but it prevents the ship from becoming the storm itself. Inner freedom works the same way. Life will continue to change. Challenges will come. People will enter and leave your story, but a disciplined mind remains anchored within. For a moment, sit quietly. Breathe without trying to fix anything, without trying to become anything, without trying to improve anything. Simply allow yourself to need nothing. Notice the peace that appears. Now ask yourself, what still has power over my peace? What would freedom look like in my daily life? Who would I become if my happiness depended on nothing external? Remember this final truth. Most people spend their lives searching for strength in crowds, but the strongest person is often the one who sat alone, met themselves completely, and discovered that everything they needed was already within. The person who learns to sit peacefully with their own mind discovers a treasure that no loss can take away. Quick summary: the borrowed life. Most people are living according to expectations they never consciously chose. What feels like ambition is often inherited conditioning. A life built on other people's dreams eventually creates inner emptiness. Real freedom begins when you question what truly belongs to you. The fear behind company. Many people seek constant company, not from love, but from discomfort with themselves. Silence exposes emotions that distractions keep hidden. The inability to be alone reveals an unresolved relationship with the mind. Growth begins when you stop running from yourself. Sacred discomfort. The first stage of transformation is rarely peaceful. When distractions disappear, buried fears and emotions rise to the surface. Most people mistake this discomfort as failure and turn back. In reality, discomfort is often evidence that healing has begun. The theft of attention. Your life is shaped by what consistently receives your attention. Distraction slowly weakens clarity, discipline, and purpose. The modern struggle is not a lack of time, but a lack of awareness. Focused attention becomes the foundation of meaningful change. the invisible script. Many beliefs, goals and identities are inherited from society. People often spend years protecting roles they never consciously chose. Success without authenticity creates a silent inner conflict. True transformation begins when you examine who you are beneath the labels. Meeting the inner enemy. The greatest obstacles often exist within the mind itself. Unexamined fears and cravings quietly influence daily decisions. External achievements cannot solve internal struggles. Awareness turns hidden weaknesses into opportunities for growth. The great inner battle. The real battle is not against circumstances, but against attachment. People suffer when they demand permanence from an impermanent world. Peace grows when control is replaced with acceptance. Freedom begins where attachment loses its grip. When loneliness becomes freedom. Solitude becomes powerful when it is no longer viewed as punishment. Being alone creates space for clarity, self-understanding, and inner strength. What once felt empty begins to feel expansive. Freedom emerges when you stop resisting the present moment, the power nobody sees. The deepest growth happens away from attention and recognition. Inner discipline develops long before external results appear. True strength does not require validation from others. The most meaningful transformations often occur in silence. The end of chasing. Many people spend their lives searching for what already exists within them. Peace is not something to acquire, but something to uncover. External pursuits cannot provide lasting fulfillment. Stillness reveals what constant seeking conceals, the freedom beyond success. The highest form of success is inner independence. When happiness no longer depends on conditions, true freedom appears. Peace becomes stable because it is no longer tied to outcomes. The awakened mind remains steady in both gain and loss. Most people spend their entire lives searching for a better future while avoiding the deeper work of understanding themselves. Yet the greatest transformation does not happen when the world changes around you. It happens when your relationship with your own mind changes. The moment you become comfortable with silence, detached from constant validation, and focused on what truly matters, you begin to see what most people spend their whole lives missing. Solitude is not the absence of life. It is the place where life finally becomes clear. As the ancient wisdom teaches, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. Zen philosophy reminds us that peace is not something we create. It is something we uncover when we stop chasing, stop resisting, and stop identifying with every passing thought. The mind that no longer depends on noise discovers a strength that circumstances cannot shake. So, as you continue your journey, ask yourself, if everything external disappeared tomorrow, would I still know who I am? If this message touched your heart, don't forget to like and share this video, and share your thoughts and experiences in the comment section below for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful, meaningful, and awakened life.